What's up, everybody? Today's video, it's not a rebuild, it's not a quiz video, it's not a reaction video, it's a what if scenario. So basically the NBA decided that 22 teams were going to get invited to Orlando, and that news has been out for a while. So that means there's 8 teams that are not going to Orlando. Those 8 teams are the Hornets, the Bulls, the Kings, the Detroit Pistons, the Atlanta Hawks, the Cleveland Cavs, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then the Golden State Warriors. So there's been the news of like the teams can bring in players that are like free agents, or there's a transaction period here for a week, basically, is what happened. And, you know, they're not bringing any superstars in. Like the Lakers are bringing in J.R. Smith, and I think the Wizards are bringing in like Jerry Grant, because like Davis Bertans isn't going to be playing and things like that. So my thought was, what if the NBA allowed all these 22 playoff teams or potential playoff teams the chance to pick players from the 8 teams that did not get invited to Orlando? So that means I went and found the 22 best players from the 8 teams that did not make it, and then I added those players to the teams that are going to Orlando. Now, I didn't just add randomly. I didn't like all of a sudden give, oh, Steph Curry's going to the Lakers, and now we got Steph, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. I based it off of record of where they were standing right now when the NBA shut down in March. And I figured it out to the point where, like, the worst team got the best player. So I'll get into that when we get into it. But yeah, this is going to be super fun. If you guys have not subscribed already, make sure to do that. And then also make sure to turn on notifications and like this video. Like 48% of my viewers are not subscribed. If you guys could subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Now let's get into this. So basically, we're just going to go through the rosters quick and just see like who I added to every team. So the 76ers, they have a pretty decent record, so they weren't getting one of the best players in this. So they got Kevin Love. Kevin Love's a power forward. He's probably going to come off the bench, but I could see him starting over Al Horford. I guess we'll see what happens with that. But either way, a solid depth and a little bit more shooting to add alongside Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, which is always important. And then let's move on to the Bucks. So the Bucks have the best record in the league currently. So they got the worst player that came out of this, and that is Luke Kennard. He's still an 80 overall. So Luke Kennard, Dante DiVincenzo, they're going to, you know, share minutes at that shooting guard spot. I don't know who's going to start. Probably DiVincenzo. But I really think that Luke Kennard is a solid piece for them to have. And I think he'll just add some wing depth, because their wing depth is pretty bad. Like, otherwise, Wesley Matthews is coming off the bench to play backup shooting guard. So now you got DiVincenzo and Luke Kennard, who can both shoot the ball, and they're both solid shooting guards to have on that team. So the Bucks should be pretty good. I mean, they were going to be good anyways. This only helps them. The Bulls, now the Bulls were someone that had to lose all their players. So they lost Levine, Lauri Markkanen, and Wendell Carter Jr. So now their best players are Otto Porter and Tomas Satoransky, which is kind of unfortunate. But they're not going to be making the playoffs anyway, so it's not a big deal. Next, we got the Cavs, who also lost their players. They basically just lost Kevin Love and Colin Sexton, I believe. Other than that, they have everybody else still. Tristan Thompson was a player that was just on the edge of making it, but unfortunately, he did not get to go to a playoff team. Then we have the Celtics, who already are stacked with Tatum, Walker, Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, Daniel Tice, Marcus Smart. But then we went and added Lauri Markkanen to their team. I mean, he's not an all-star or anything by any means, but he definitely adds some depth behind Jason Tatum at that power forward, because they didn't really have anybody. Otherwise, they had like Cantor and Robert Williams playing like center minutes, maybe some power forward minutes. But Lauri Markkanen should be a big upgrade for them off the bench. Excuse me. And then the Clippers. So the Clippers team is, I mean, these two are just stacked, right? And then we had Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, Marcus Morris. But then they got Christian Wood. And Christian Wood was, I mean, the Clippers have one of the best records in the league too, so they were getting one of the worst players available on those non-playoff teams. But Christian Wood's still an 80 overall, going to back up Marcus Morris, maybe start over him. They don't really have a backup power forward anyways. They had Patrick Patterson. So really, Christian Wood coming in here is going to be a solid addition to this Clippers team, and it should make them even that much more of a contender in the playoffs. Next, we had the Grizzlies. Grizzlies are on the fringe of actually making the playoffs. Currently, they're in, but there's a chance they fall out. but they're led by John Morant. But we went and we added D'Angelo Russell to them. Now, we didn't really need D'Lo to be on this team. Like, you know, they didn't need another point guard, but I thought D'Lo could run that backup shooting guard spot, so we'll switch him to a shooting guard now, and he should be pretty good. So now he's their best player. John Morant's there too. That's going to be a dynamic duo that's going to destroy the league and terrorize people in the playoffs. Even if they don't win a series or anything, they're going to give some people some trouble. So I really do like this pairing. And they still have everybody else. What I did was basically to get these players, I just traded the worst player on the roster. So I think like Marko Guduric went to the Timberwolves for this. And then the Hawks, they lost their players too. So Trae Young is gone, John Collins is gone, Clint Capella is gone. And they're left with Jeff Teague, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, Bruno Fernando, DeAndre Bembry. Just a terrible team. Oh, and where were we at? Sorry. And yeah, not much to say about this team really. I think they're going to be really bad. Doesn't matter. They're not going to make the playoffs. Anyways, next we got the Miami Heat. Heat have a solid record, so they didn't get a great player, but they got Julius Randle. And their power forward before was like Myers Leonard, I guess. So realistically, getting Julius Randle fills a need for them. And that's something I tried to do. I tried to fill needs, but I also wasn't going to fill a need and not pick up like the best player possible. And there's going to be examples of that down the line. But yeah, so Julius Randle and them just adds a little grittiness. Whether you think Julius Randle's a good player or not, you know, it's kind of up in the air. But I think he will help this. I think he will help this Heat team, and I think he's got the size to really be effective in the post. And, you know, playing next to Bam and Jimmy Butler, it's going to be a gritty team, going to be able to do some damage. Next, we got the Hornets, who also lost their players. They lost Devontae Graham, Terry Rozier. They didn't have anybody else besides that, really. So that's who's out the door for them. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert are getting another shooting guard to come in, and that's Colin Sexton. I think we're going to run Colin Sexton at the point guard. So then he will probably start. Maybe Mike Conley will start, but Colin Sexton is going to be a solid piece. Otherwise, we could run Mitchell at the small forward, and then we could run Colin Sexton at the shooting guard. Maybe that's what we do. Okay, so that's going to be the move there. And then after that, so we got the Jazz done. I think, you know what? I think like Donovan Mitchell, Colin Sexton, they're going to be able to score the ball quite a bit. And I think this team is actually going to be one to reckon with in the playoffs. Mike Conley, sure, not probably going to be the greatest starting point guard for them, but it is what it is. Next, we got the Kings, and the Kings are one of the teams with the worst records. So that means they got one of the best players, and they got Klay Thompson to come in. So now Buddy Hield probably is going to, I would guess he's going to switch to a small forward. I'm going to leave him as a shooting guard, but I'm guessing they're going to run him at small forward. And then with De'Aaron Fox, Klay Thompson, like that's some good defensive players who can also score the ball. Buddy Hield can score the ball. I think this team is going to be really good. If they can somehow make it into the playoffs, then, you know, like maybe they can do some damage. I doubt they actually do make it into the playoffs, though. But you never know. Things could happen here in these last 8 games. I simulated until there was about 8 games left for every team, too, by the way. So that's going to be interesting. Before I made the trades, I simulated there. Then I made the trades. Obviously, I had to turn off the trade deadline and things. But, yeah, so Kings got Klay. New York Knicks, they lost Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle. So they got Taj Gibson and Bobby Portis, I guess, leading their team. Now we got the Lakers. Already a stacked team with LeBron, Anthony Davis. And then they got some solid pieces like Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. Now they're bringing in a point guard who probably will start over Rajon Rondo, and that's Terry Rozier. Not a great player. He was the worst player, or the second worst player. No, he was the worst player coming out of the non-playoff team pool. And the Lakers have the second best record in the league right now. I didn't want to give the Bucks Rozier because like the Lakers need a point guard more than a shooting guard, so I wanted to do that for them. So yeah, they got Terry Rozier, and he might be able to help them, you know, help LeBron run some of that point guard, and you know, take some of that pressure off LeBron. He did play well in the playoffs when he was on the Celtics, so you never know what could happen. The Magic added Zach LaVine. Being one of the bottom tier people that got invited to Orlando. I mean, I guess they're in Orlando, but yeah, Zach LaVine's going to be a solid piece for them. They had Evan Fournier playing that shooting guard, but really, Zach LaVine is quite an upgrade. We could run like LaVine at point guard, but I think Markelle Fultz is going to run that, and he's going to do just fine. So yeah, Zach LaVine, Vucevic, Jonathan Isaac, It's going to be a fun team to watch. Again, they probably won't make the playoffs, but we'll see what they look like after the season. Then the Mavericks were able to add Derrick Rose. So they already had Luka, Porzingis, and Seth Curry, Tim Hardaway Jr., but they added another third star, I guess, a star in Derrick Rose. And Derrick Rose is now going to be probably their third scoring option, maybe their second over Porzingis. I guess we'll see what happens. But Derrick Rose, they didn't really have a point guard. Luka was running that point guard, so I think now with Derrick Rose doing that, Luka can play more off ball and just see how that works out. He's probably better on ball, honestly, but I think maybe Derrick Rose could play some of the off ball too. It's whatever Rick Carlisle wants to do, it's gonna happen. So the Nets. The Nets got lucky because now Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are both healthy. Plus, they added Andre Drummond. And they got Spencer Dinwiddie still. So, they're kind of deadlocked at center. They got Jordan, Allen, and Drummond. We're probably going to run Allen at the power forward for them. And that should help them out a lot. This team should be really good. Dinwiddie's probably going to run that shooting guard. And the starting lineup is going to be crazy. This is a team I'm probably picking. This team is the one I'm picking to win the championship, I think. But they are going to have to come in as a lower seed because, the season didn't start out very good for them because they were missing Kyrie and KD for a lot of the season. But, it is, I think the Nets will turn out to be good. Next, we got the Nuggets. They were able to add Wendell Carter Jr. They have one of the best records, so Wendell's coming. He's going to play backup center to Jokic, maybe some backup power forward to Paul Millsap or something, but yeah, I think Wendell Carter Jr. on that team, he fits them pretty well. Just a solid body to have down low, banging in the post. So I like his fit there. The Pacers got Andrew Wiggins. Not really what they needed, but running that small forward for them. Probably start over TJ Warren, I guess. Run next to Oladipo, Brogdon, and Sabonis. They really maybe could have used a center, but there wasn't really a center out there in that range of people. And Miles Turner should suffice for them. They make the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs. I don't know how much better this team got with Wiggins. So I'm not really counting them to be a contender or anything when we get to the playoffs. The Pelicans got Clint Capella. And that's actually really impressive for them. I think it really helps them out a lot because they already had, Ingram and Zion. And now we're adding another big man in Clint Capella that's going to be able to get rebounds for them, catch lobs from Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball's going to be throwing lobs left and right to Clint, to Zion. Brandon Ingram's going to be able to work. We didn't add a ball-dominant player, so BI is still going to be able to do his thing. But I think that having Clint Capella is really going to catapult these Pelicans team, and they might be able to make a run to get into the playoffs. So we'll go check out the records and stuff before we get into the playoffs as well. But Clint Capella's there. Detroit Pistons, they lost everyone. John Henson's their best player, and that's all that needs to be said. Toronto added Devontae Graham. Just some backup point guard depth, I guess. It was they had one of the best records too, so there wasn't many options. So they got Devontae Graham. Not a lot to say about that. The Rockets were able to add Mitchell Robinson, so they traded away Clint Capella, before the trade deadline, and now Mitchell Robinson is here. And he's going to run that center for him, and I think he's going to improve that team a lot. I know it's not how the Rockets want to play their games. I know they want to run centerless. But I think with Mitchell Robinson, this team is going to be really good. You still have James Harden and Russell Westbrook, too. The Spurs. Now, this is a team that's low-key going to be really, really interesting to watch. So we got Karl Anthony Towns added to them because they were one of the worst teams that are making the playoff push, so they're probably not going to be able to get into the playoffs. But when you have Cat, and then you got LaMarcus Aldridge playing your power forward, DeMar DeRozan playing your small forward, DeJounte Murray's coming in to play point guard, and then Derek White's your shooting guard, that's going to be a solid team if they can somehow squeeze into the playoffs. They probably won't, but it should be interesting to see. So then we got the Suns. Suns have desperately needed a point guard for years. They got Rubio. He's helped them out quite a bit. He's been better than Elie Kobo and all these other players. Ever since Bledsoe left, they've been kind of lacking. But now they got Trae Young, who was probably the second or third best player available from the non-playoff teams. And just Trae Young next to Devin Booker, they're going to be able to score a lot of points. I thought about putting Towns on this team, but DeAndre Ayton's already here. And I think that Trae Young just fits so much better. So it's going to be really interesting to see how good this team does. And then we got the Thunder. They added Blake Griffin. I wouldn't be surprised if Danilo Gallinari runs as the small forward and they just put Blake Griffin in as the power forward, and then this is your starting lineup, and this would actually be a really solid starting lineup. I mean, you're all 82 overall plus, so that would be pretty interesting to see that happen. I'm guessing that's what they'll do, but no guarantees. Timberwolves lost Cat and D'Lo. We're stuck with Beasley, Johnson, Okogie, McLaughlin, Spellman. You know, that team's going to need a lot of help if they're going to do anything. But the Trailblazers got lucky and brought in a starting power forward that they did not have. And they have John Collins. So they got Dame, Whiteside, Collins, CJ McCollum, and then Yusuf Nurkic coming off the bench as a center. Carmelo Anthony's probably going to start at small forward for them. So we'll probably do that. And yeah, that team is going to be good. So if they make the playoffs too, they're not in. They got a little bit of work to do, but if they make the playoffs, they could make a serious run. Golden State Warriors lost Steph and Clay, and they're looking like, and Wiggins. They got Draymond Green, Marquise Chris, and Pascal. Their best 4 players play power forward or center. So tough blow for them, but you know, things happen. And then finally, the Washington Wizards got Steph Curry. He was the best player available, and they were the worst record that got invited to Orlando, so they get the best player. This team isn't going to make the playoffs likely, but if they somehow did, with John Wall healthy, Bradley Beal's probably going to play the 3. We'll do that for them because I want to make sure that happens. John Wall's going to play the shooting guard, and then Steph Curry's going to play the point guard, and this team is going to be super solid. I know Davis Bertans isn't actually going to be in Orlando, but he is going to be in this video. So that rounds out all 30 teams, what their rosters are looking like after I made all of these moves. And now it's time to just simulate the rest of the season and see what happens. I want to check out the standings quick before we do that, though. So it's looking like Portland's actually just there on the edge. So Portland's holding the last spot, and any of these teams could likely end up in there, like the Pelicans, Spurs, Kings, Grizzlies. But Portland's in as of now. They got 7 games left. Most of these teams have 7, 8, or 9 games left. There wasn't a perfect way to do this. The Lakers somehow still have 10 games left. But then in the Eastern Conference, we got 2 spots up for grabs. We got the Magic, the Nets. The Wizards could maybe come in, but they would need some serious luck. So it's looking like it'll be Orlando and Brooklyn. The Bulls aren't going to win any games after making all those trades. Okay, I'll simulate the rest of the season. I'll catch you guys when the playoffs are about to start. So the 2019-2020 NBA season did finally wrap up here, and Giannis won MVP, which, you know, probably will happen in real life. Ja Morant won Rookie of the Year, also going to happen. Montrezl Harrell, 6th man, totally could happen. Kawhi won Defensive Player. Bam won Most Improved, and then Coach Bud won Coach of the Year. So here's the All-NBA teams. They're looking, you know, how they normally would. You know, Trae Young made it for the Suns. He only played like 7 games there, but he did make it. And then 3rd team. Here are the all-defensive teams as well. And then the rookie teams. So, playoffs are starting. Portland did make it. Utah and Houston are matching up. Denver and Dallas. The Clippers and OKC. Over here we got Milwaukee and Orlando, Miami and Philly, Toronto, Indiana, and Boston and Brooklyn. So none of the teams that I thought might jump in did. So let's check out some stats for the teams quickly. I'm not going to go through them all, but I want you guys to be able to see. So you can pause it at your favorite team and see how well they did. But here are all of the teams. I'm interested to see, like, Terry Rozier, 18 points. Levine led the Magic in scoring. D-Rose came in and played well for the Mavericks. Drummond, 15 rebounds a game for those Nets. That's good for him. Wendell came in and played well. Wiggins actually led the Pacers in scoring, so that probably helped them out quite a bit. Clint Capella came in, 13 rebounds for the Pelicans. Pistons are just bad. Their leading scorer was Langston Galloway, 10 points per game. I feel sorry for Pistons fans. I'm sorry, Crispy Flakes. That's not good. The Raptors, Devontae Graham came in. He was a bucket, 18 points. Here's what the Rockets were looking like. Mitchell Robinson didn't play that well, honestly, for them. Karl-Anthony Towns came in, 23 points, 11 rebounds for the Spurs. Shot really good from the field. Trae Young, almost 29 points a game. Ridiculous. Devin Booker still 27 points a game. Suns are going to be good. I don't know if they made the playoffs or not, though. Here are the rest of the teams. You guys can just pause at your favorite team. Steph Curry, 30 points a game for the Wizards. Yeah, Lauri Markkanen played well for the Celtics. D'Angelo Russell came in, really helped that Grizzlies team probably. But yeah, those were the teams, so you guys could stop and go back and look at all the stats if you do want to. But let's go see. The Suns didn't even make the playoffs, which I'm kind of sad about because I wanted to see what Trae Young and Devin Booker could do as a duo. So we'll simulate this round, and we'll just see what happens here. The Thunder get eliminated in 4 games. The Mavericks are eliminated. The Jazz, the Nets, the Lakers get eliminated by the Portland Trailblazers. I was telling you, that Portland team is going to be crazy. And they did. They just beat the Lakers. Who else? The Pacers end up losing to the Raptors. Brooklyn lost to the Celtics in just 5 games, which is surprising because KD, Kyrie, Drummond, that should be a solid team. Miami lost to Philly. Houston ended up beating Utah. All right, let's simulate round number 2 and let's see what happens here. 76ers end up losing, Trailblazers lose, Nuggets lose, and Celtics lose. So now we got Milwaukee and Toronto, the Clippers, and the Rockets. Let's simulate that round as well. So we got Raptors, Rockets in the finals. This is an unlikely matchup in real life, so this shows that, this did help some of these teams. So Devontae Graham must have helped the Raptors just enough to get over that hump again. And then the Rockets, they needed a little bit of help, and Mitchell Robinson must have supplied that to them in the playoffs. Let's see who wins this. And the Raptors end up winning the whole thing, and Pascal Siakam is the finals MVP. He averaged 30 points per game, 9 rebounds, 1.1 assists, 1.4 steals. Shot really well from the field, not very good from 3. Wow. So in a world where these teams get to pick up any player from a non-playoff team, the Raptors go on to win the championship. Could happen in real life. They're like the 2 seed in real life. Totally could see it happening. Maybe that'd be a great story to have them lose their best player in Kawhi Leonard and still make it to the finals. But yeah, that was really cool. I think that this experiment shows that the talent really does make it into the playoffs. There wasn't that many great players not in the playoffs. We had we had good players. We had Steph, but that's because of injury. Clay because of injury. But then Cat didn't make it. D'Lo didn't make it. Drummond. But most of the solid talent, the top tier talent, makes it into the playoffs. And this goes to show that some of those good players that don't make playoffs, if they end up on a good team, they could really help them. But yeah, this was a lot of fun to do. I hope you guys did enjoy this. But yeah, if you guys have any other videos you want me to try and do, make sure to drop them in the comment section below. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you want to do. Those are all in the description. Also, make sure to subscribe if you have not. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. Other than that, it's been TKE. It's been real. Peace out.